Today we're going to be talking about which foods act in our bodies like drugs. Did you know that certain foods trigger the same reward pathway in our brains as do drugs of abuse? They do. And today we're going to learn which foods do that and how it works. Coming up. So the foods that trigger the reward drug pathway in our brains are the ultra-processed foods. So the high fat, high salt, high sugar foods are the foods that affect our brains like cocaine does, or alcohol. Perhaps not as strong as those drugs do, but in a similar fashion in that the chemicals released in our brain make us a little high when we eat certain foods. Some of us are more reward sensitive than others. Some of us get more pleasure from it than others, and we'll talk more about how that works in the scientific part of this video. But for right now, just as an overview, certain ultra-processed foods make our brains really happy. And as such, they kind of trick our bodies into not knowing how much we've had. Let's talk about an example of how the processed foods affect us versus the whole natural version of the food. So let's take the potato chip versus the baked potato, for example. So imagine you're going to eat a handful of potato chips, which is going to be, let's say it's an ounce, which is 150 calories, okay? And now if you're going to eat 150 calories of baked potato is 20 calories an ounce when it's cooked. You're going to get a decent sized baked potato, okay? So 150 calories, barely even can see it, potato chips, or 150 calorie nice baked potato. So when you eat the potato chips for the same amount of calories, you're not getting the nutrients, you're not getting the fiber, you're not getting the water that you're going to be getting when you eat the natural potato. It takes you much longer to eat the actual food. It satiates you better, and you actually get nutrition from the real food. Whereas if you eat the potato chip for 150 calories, you barely even felt like you ate anything. Your body doesn't really realize that it had that condensed amount of calories in that small amount of food with no nutrients or water. So you're still hungry, even though you've had those calories, versus how you feel after you've had a pretty decent sized baked potato. So can you kind of see just from that one example how the processed foods kind of mess up our brains, and they mess up our ability to tell what we need and how much we've had? So let's talk about another processed food, for example, like chocolate, where the cocoa bean isn't really anything that we can eat. So there isn't a natural alternative to it. So chocolate, when we even think about it, now this is for you that really get turned on by it. Some people don't even like it, but let's pretend you do. Or think of a food that you really like, that you get turned on by. When you start to think about this food, and let's use something. Let's use a Snicker bar. Okay, so let's say you start thinking about a Snicker bar. Let's say you're craving it, so you start wanting it. You start picturing the Snicker bar. Even just picturing the Snicker bar is going to start the dopamine in your brain going. It's going to start the reward pathway in your brain going, and you're going to start to get a little happy just thinking about and picturing the Snicker bar, without having it, without going to get it, without anything else, just thinking about it. So let's pretend that you've trained yourself not to feel your emotions, and instead you go to food when you feel upset, okay? And let's pretend we just got upset because somebody said something hurtful, and without even feeling the hurt, we've trained ourselves so much to go straight to the food that hurt. Snicker bar would be a pathway in the brain that just goes straight to Snicker bar, and you start picturing Snicker bar, thinking about Snicker bar, where can I get a Snicker bar? And you start getting a little bit happy and into Snicker bar land, and completely away from whatever hurt you. right? So now let's say I don't want to go back to the hurt at all. So I'm going to stay in Snicker bar land and I'm going to find a way to get it. I'm going to get a Snicker bar somehow. So I'm going to have to go somewhere to get it because I don't have one. I'm going to go somewhere. I'm going to have to look. I'm going to find. I'm going to get, maybe I should get two. Just in case, I'll have one extra one ready. So I get my Snicker bars and then I'm eating them. And while I'm eating them, even on my way to get them, I'm not thinking about what hurt me. I'm not checking in with my feelings. I'm completely numbing out in a way that is actually taking me out of the feelings for could be hours or longer. Because let's just say I binge on Snicker bars. And then I'm really upset that I did that. Now I'm guilty. Now I'm upset. Now I just took in all these calories. Now why did I do that? Now I'm going to have to diet. I'm going to have to, cut my calories for 6 weeks just to make up for those, just get all down on myself for eating the Snickers bar and still haven't even addressed what made me want it in the first place, right? That can be days, weeks, months. I mean, you can really go down that road for a long time without really addressing whatever the feeling was. And then, imagine that keeps going, right? So something else upsets you, you go get something else to eat, and on and on and on. And that's how we get obese and we don't deal with our problems and we get addicted to food. So let's talk about now the scientific aspect of the addiction itself, how it works, and a little bit today about what you can do about it. Okay, so the way addiction works with food is, let's stay on the Snicker bar just because we're on it. Let's say we really love Snicker bars and we eat them regularly, and so we have a sort of a tolerance to Snicker bars. What happens? So let's say we're gonna go get one. We get one usually around this time of day. I have my usual Snicker bar. It's 280 calories. Yeah, it's good. It doesn't thrill me anymore. It's not like super exciting because I've built a tolerance to it. I've gotten used to it. What the first time that you taste something like that, your taste buds go crazy because we're not used to that kind. It's not a natural biological food you'd find like an apple, So our taste buds go crazy with the sugar, fat, and salt. Really does sort of light things up in your mouth and your brain, the whole thing. Even rats will overeat junk food for the high that you get, right? So you get the pleasure in your mouth, but you also get brain chemicals going. So it's very complicated in the way it affects you, your brain, your body. All right, so you have your Snickers until you're done. And if you continue to do that every day, it's going to take more and more Snickers for you're done. Okay. Same as alcohol. You build a tolerance, right? You have a glass of wine every night, and before you know it, you're going to need a glass and a half to feel that same kind of happy thing you felt from one glass initially. We build a tolerance. So with the high fat, high salt, high sugar foods, it's the same as alcohol, where you're going to build a tolerance to the Snicker bar. You're going to need more and more of it. And if you stop, you will experience withdrawal. So that's the part we're going to talk about next. Sugar withdrawal and what happens to you and why so many people fail at getting through it because it's no fun coming up. So my favorite story of getting off sugar is I went to a food addiction conference. This is, I believe, 2009 in Washington State. It was the first ever of its kind. I don't even know if there's been another since, probably, but anyway, I was there and all the leaders in the field in food addiction were there presenting their research, and it was fascinating. The most fascinating thing, though, was that we all were staying there. It was in this like a camp thing, really beautiful on Bainbridge Island in Washington. So they put us up for the weekend. We were there, I guess, 3 nights, 4 days, and fed us 3 meals a day, and there was no sugar. No sugar. And we're staying on this island. It's not like there's a drugstore next door where you could go get M&Ms or something. No, it was just like, okay, there was no sugar. Really nice food. They had a little bit of wine with dinner, but it was healthy. And I want to say by the second day, most of us were experiencing sugar withdrawal. I noticed it for sure, but I could tell. We're all a little antsy. We're all a little bit like uncomfortable. We're kind of all craving sugar for sure. Um, yeah, and so we were definitely all going through it together. And by the third day, it was much better. You know, you didn't crave it as much. You weren't looking for sugar. I had M&Ms in my purse. Actually, I could have sold them for big bucks. But I didn't have much time to kind of go with everyone. Anyway, so sugar withdrawal will happen to you if you stop having whatever it is you're addicted to. So if you're having your Snicker bar all the time and you quit, it's not going to be that easy because your body's going to rebel. It's going to want it, crave it, make you want to go find it. Okay, that's where the addiction part comes in and why it becomes so difficult to stop, why people can't. Because when you're craving it, when you're going through the withdrawal, you don't feel very good. You know, you're not calm, you're not happy, you're not at peace, you're kind of like, you know, really uncomfortable. And so the urge is to go get sugar and you'll feel good, you'll feel fine again. And the truth is you kind of would for a period of time, right? But it's completely unhealthy for your body. So you kind of have to get through the withdrawal part when you quit eating the highly processed foods in order to get to the other side where you start feeling better, you won't crave it as much, and you'll be more in control of what you're eating. When you eat the ultra-processed foods, you will lose control of how much you're eating, how many calories, and you won't be able to control your weight. So really the only way to get a handle on that is to quit. Sorry, but it will serve you. Stopping eating junk food, stopping eating highly processed foods will make you feel so much better in the long run that I can't tell you how much it's worth it. Not even just how you're going to feel on the daily, but you're going to lose weight and that will make you feel better as well. So more videos coming up about how to get off sugar, how to get into healthier eating without killing yourself or being too uncomfortable will be coming up. So if this helped you at all, please smash the like button and subscribe and hit the bell so you know when I post again, and I'll be coming back soon with more. Good luck on your weight loss journey.